After a traumatic event where numerous workers suffered serious injuries, the factory staff stormed into the administration offices demanding accountability, as their employer had evaded taking responsibility. Chaos erupted quickly as the employees began demolishing everything within reach. When law enforcement finally arrived, the workers rushed towards them, and Michael lunged at an officer, initiating a violent assault. More officers promptly pursued him to restrain and apprehend him. Eventually, a recording of Michael's arrest circulated online, becoming a source of amusement among teenagers. This irked Michael's daughter, Selma, prompting her to grab a handful of horse dung to smear on her classmate's face. After a confrontation with the principal, her mother Elise felt lost. Selma's behavior had spiraled since her parents divorced and Michael was imprisoned, though he had recently been released with an ankle monitor. One night with her father, Selma watched the news and discovered that Latin America was facing rainfall 1,000 times more acidic than usual, resulting in the deaths of thousands of wildlife. This phenomenon stemmed from pollution and climate change, with experts warning it would soon reach the northern hemisphere. The following day, heavy rain commenced, and Elise realized Selma had left her bedroom window open. She placed a towel on the floor to absorb the water and fell asleep on her daughter's bed, oblivious to the towel beginning to lose its hue. The next day, although the rain had ceased, the sky remained ominously overcast, and the populace closely monitored the news as precipitation continued to appear erratically across the nation. At work, Michael noted the peculiar texture of the damp ground. Just then, he received a call from Elise, who was eager to collect Selma from school early due to her apprehensions about the rainfall. With her vehicle in the garage, Michael was enlisted to drive her. Upon arriving at the school, they discovered that the class had gone for a horseback ride, with the students having left their phones behind. They took the route to the woods to locate Selma, but every parent had the same idea, resulting in a traffic jam that obstructed their path. Towering dark clouds loomed over the forest, prompting Michael to veer off the road in a frantic search for his daughter. Meanwhile, Selma struggled with riding and found herself stranded in the woods while her classmates forged ahead. Sporadic raindrops began to fall, scorching the sticks on the ground and scaring the horses, causing them to panic and throw Selma off. As Michael and Elise approached the woods, they realized the vehicle had no passage. Michael exited the car and ventured on foot, initially checking the stables where the terrified horses were in disarray. Selma was also running, and eventually, she reunited with her father when he emerged. They hurried inside the training facility just before the rain unleashed. A few droplets slipped through the ceiling's gaps, searing the floor beneath. Michael searched for blankets to shield them while he contacted Elise to update her on their whereabouts. The torrential rain made it difficult for Elise to navigate, but she eventually located the building and parked outside, allowing Michael and Selma to enter. As they returned to the road, they could hear the anguished screams of those suffering from the acid rain. Eventually, they encountered another blockade, unable to retreat as cars lined behind them, all displaying a peeling paint job. When Elise found a gap, she maneuvered right, only to get ensnared in another part of the traffic snarl. This motion elicited some individuals to tug at their doors, including one man with a grotesquely injured face who managed to slip inside, but Michael swiftly ejected him and secured the doors. Elise then detected another opening and accelerated, pushing several vehicles out of the way. Overwhelmed by the panic, Selma broke down as she watched the ceiling paint change color. Moments later, the rain finally ceased, revealing a landscape littered with bodies and debris devastated by the acid. The family paused in a supermarket parking lot, collecting clothes and blankets to shield themselves and their vehicle. Elise reached out to her brother but learned he couldn't join them due to blocked roads. Michael attempts to reach his girlfriend by phone but only hears her voicemail. For several hours, the family continues their journey, aiming to escape the country, a goal shared by many others. As dusk falls, their vehicle succumbs to the corrosive damage, leaving the rear door jammed. Michael kicks it repeatedly in an effort to unstick it, warning Selma to hold her breath in case of any acid splatter. They then meander until they stumble upon an abandoned structure. Michael checks for any occupants and is taken aback by the party decorations left in disarray, clues of a celebration that never happened. A cat is found pilfering snacks, and Selma is eager to pet it, but Elise intervenes, cautioning her about the potential acid residue on the feline's fur. Michael finally gets through to his girlfriend, confirming her safety, but loses signal shortly after. The tap water is running, but its safety is uncertain, so Michael fills a bowl with it, leaving it out as a test for the cat. Selma objects to this treatment of the poor creature and promptly dumps the water in the sink. Fortunately, Elise manages to find some bottled water to share with Selma. They then fashion makeshift shoe covers from foil trays and tape for additional safety. Moments later, they discover the bowl has melted, confirming that the tap water is unsafe. The refrigerator yields only alcohol and snacks, so they settle for that as dinner. Selma is anxious, believing they can't make it on foot, and when her parents attempt to brainstorm solutions, it leads to a clash. They shout over one another, ignoring Selma's pleas for quiet, and Michael, in a fit of rage, shatters a glass before storming out. Later, as they settle down to sleep, they hear raindrops trickling through the damaged ceiling. Unable to find rest, Selma goes in search of the cat, only to discover a trail of blood leading to the little creature's lifeless body. Distraught, she returns to lie with her mother for reassurance. The next day, the family resumes their journey. The rain has paused, and many others are also attempting to flee the country on foot. As time passes, the crowd swells, and when they finally reach the bridge, they find it clogged with people and cars. Police are controlling the flow, allowing only small groups to move through every few minutes for safety precautions. Unfazed, the crowd continues to jostle, resulting in Elise becoming separated from her family. When the police finally permit another group to pass, Elise is swept along. She tries to explain to the officers that her family is on the other side, but her words fall on deaf ears, and they push her onward. Once she crosses the bridge, she's confronted with a gaping chasm in the center, shedding light on the police's cautious demeanor. The crowd grows increasingly aggressive, and Selma finds herself nearly trampled. To restore order, the police resort to tear gas, forcing a retreat. Amidst the chaos, the bridge emits an ominous sound, and as the group looks up, they witness its collapse. Falling debris immediately claims a few lives, sending others into a panic as they rush back, though those at the front remain oblivious and continue pushing forward, resulting in a violent clash. Elise makes a desperate attempt to reunite with her family but becomes ensnared in the throng. The tumultuous struggle causes the railing to give way, sending several individuals, including Elise, plummeting into the water, where the acid begins to scald her skin. Selma observes this horrifying sight and rushes towards the shore, intent on saving her mother. However, Michael stops her just before she can touch the caustic water, forcing them to helplessly witness Elise's body drift away. With the bridge rendered unusable, the authorities escort the remaining crowd to a military base. Michael manages to dial his girlfriend again, but Elise's brother does not pick up. Eventually, the crowd is sorted into different military trucks, sharing the scant bottled water they have during the bumpy ride. As the trucks arrive at a blockage, the soldiers order everyone to exit the vehicles to traverse on foot, waving red smoke as a signal to prevent anyone from getting lost. As the ominous dark clouds loom closer, they sprint away with all their might. Selma struggles and keeps stumbling, prompting Michael to help her up and steady her progress. This setback makes them lose sight of the crowd, but fortunately, Michael discovers a nearby tunnel and swiftly clears away the leaves and dirt to carve out enough space for them to take cover just before the deluge begins. The torrential downpour causes some water to seep into the tunnel, softening the soil, which forces Michael and Selma to keep moving in the pitch darkness. Eventually, they finally discover the tunnel's exit. The rain has stopped, yet Michael's phone is devoid of battery life to call for assistance. The pair trudges on for hours and eventually stumbles upon several houses, but no one responds to Michael's frantic knocks. Weariness and pain overwhelm him, and he collapses on the ground, prompting Selma to cry out in the street, pleading for help. When Michael regains consciousness, he finds himself in the home of Deborah and her son. Deborah kindly offers them some bottled water and fresh clothes, but she declines to share her food, claiming she only has enough for herself and her child. While exploring the house, Selma discovers a room filled with acid stains and a peculiar machine encased in plastic. As she reaches out to touch it, Deborah intervenes, clarifying that it's crucial for her son's dialysis. Michael willingly offers to assist her in moving the machine downstairs to protect the boy from the corrosive acid. Grateful for his help, Deborah agrees to share some food and allows them to stay the night. Michael then borrows an axe, intending to break into the neighbor's house, but the impending dark clouds urge him to hurry back before he can make any substantial progress. The storm rages outside, and Deborah realizes the house may not withstand it, leading her to make a tough decision. Michael opts to sleep in the garage for safety rather than in a room, and after they settle in, Deborah covertly locks the door. She then lies down with her son, singing him to sleep while they await whatever may come. Soon enough, various spots in and around the house start melting, particularly the faucets. The paint drips down the walls, resembling streams of blood, while a dreadful smoke begins to issue from the heater. Michael and Selma awaken to the crumbling sounds of the house and attempt to check on their hosts, only to find the door barred. As the toxic fumes close in on Deborah and her son, the upper floor gives way, forcing Michael to pull Selma away from the door as she cries out for the boy. Reluctant to leave their newfound friends, Michael, however, thrusts her into Deborah's vehicle before opening the garage and speeding away. It's pitch black outside, and Michael desperately tries to navigate quickly with only the headlights illuminating the way. The electric car's computer informs them that systems are failing, ultimately halting the vehicle for the safety of its occupants. Michael pounds on it several times to restore functionality and resumes driving without a clear destination. After hours without rain, they find nothing but endless fields, prompting Michael to halt the vehicle. Selma insists he admit he's lost, which causes Michael to snap in frustration, yelling at her before exiting the car. Soon, he feels a burn in his leg, prompting a return to the vehicle only to discover Selma missing. She's attempting to flee despite the blistering ground, climbing onto a sinking structure. Hearing her scream, Michael drives toward her, but the car too begins to sink into the muck, forcing him to abandon it and proceed on foot. He reaches Selma just in time and carries her on his back, enduring severe burns in the process. They manage to reach the car once more, where Michael eventually faints. The next morning, Selma awakens to the sound of a truck and realizes the military has arrived to rescue them. They are transported to a secure shelter, where Michael receives medical attention while Selma inquires about her uncle. Sadly, they cannot locate him in any shelter database. However, they do find the name of Michael's girlfriend, who tragically has passed away. When Selma is finally permitted to see her father, she offers her comfort and decides not to give him the bad news yet. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.